Good gracious, I'm sorry. I'm flying solo. I'm trying to produce at the moment. And hi, everybody. Good to see you. It's a little weird. Hi, Colossia. Hi, Eli. Hello. Who else is here? Look at the trees. Look at the trees. Hey, look at the trees. Look at the ocean. If you will look at the ocean behind me, you'll notice that it's dead ass calm here in Portland, Maine right now. Uh, Perhaps it's the calm before the storm. I don't know. Whatever. So Ember and Bree are dog tired, as am I. So forgive us all for not being here live with you. But we do have some great segments coming up. I'm not sure if Carly's going to be here. I hope she is, but here we go. This is live TV. This is what we're doing. All kinds of live. We have some great segments from Ember and Carly teed up, and I since we don't have our usual round of topics for the panel to discuss, I have something I'd like to present, which came over the transom today and kind of got up in my grill. So I'm gonna I'm just gonna share this thing here, which is like cray cray. This is from Jonathan Cowan of Third Way, and I found it. So, all right, you guys are the third way. You might consider trans folks a third way too, but you know, maybe it would be hoping for too much for a political movement that calls themselves a third way to hope that they'd have a little bit of sympathy towards trans folks. And they do. I'm not going to be too harsh on them, but sometimes it's really disappointing when people just don't get it, in my opinion. Anyway, let me just share the screen and hopefully I'll try. I forgot to pop out the pop out the chat so I can watch what you guys are saying. But let me just get this thing going here. We're just going to go through. This is an opinion piece that this dude wrote for Politico, and it's it's a thing. It's a thing. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can wrap together here. Here we go. Here we go. Here, this is the thing, but I gotta pop out the chat so I can follow along with you guys. I don't wanna ignore y'all. Hey Ben, what's going on, mate? In the army. Yeah, all right. Well, sort of. Hang on, bear with me. This this is going to be a rocky night, folks. I'm telling you right now. Let's see, I gotta put this over here so I can see it, sort of. All right. Okay, let's do this. There is a sensible center on transgender politics. I was starting right off the bat here. There's a sensible center on transgender politics, but is there a sensible center on transgender people? As far as I know, Mr. Cowan here is a cisgender male. He was born in 1965, according to his Wikipedia. He's worked for some Congress people. Oh my goodness, I'm so out of touch. I haven't moved my microphone in the proper position. I don't know what the hell's going on with me. Is there a sensible center for on transgender people? We'll see how the people are not centered in this article. Note the way the whole thing is framed. Look at what's up here. Look at what's up here. We got a toilet, right? We got a toilet. We've got a we don't care thing. I think it says it all because you really kind of fucking do. Anyway, let's get started. Can Democrats remain? Well, there's a sensible center on transgender politics. Here's where Democrats can find it from a cis guy who calls himself the third way. Okay, cool. Can Democrats remain supportive of a small and vulnerable segment of the population without seeming out of touch with much of America? Is there a middle ground they can occupy on issues relating to transgender people and still find their way out of the political wilderness? I believe the answer to these questions is yes. Okay, Jonathan, you're cool. You've got the answers for us. President, third way, he's our areas of focus. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, I guess I better go to the actual Politico article. Let's see. Is there a link to it? Did you link to it on your own website, third way? God damn it. Holy smokes. These guys, this is one way, I guess, have an article that's published in Politico and don't link to the damn article. Okay. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Good. The debate over transgender rights is a liability for Democrats. Here's how to neutralize it. All right. It's time for real discussion, dissent, and debate without fear of being canceled. Oh, you poor dears. Oh, you poor dears. You're afraid of being canceled? Transgender people are afraid of being fucking eliminated. Oh, you poor, poor dears. Jonathan, I feel so bad for you. You're an opinion leader, the head of a massive, uh, one might say, ideological movement, and you're afraid of being canceled by the trans folks. Okay, John, let's see. How are you going to do it? Starts off great. It will go down as one of the most infamous taglines in modern campaign history. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you. With a reported $200 million behind ads like that in 2024, the right successfully placed Democrats outside the mainstream. Yet, since the election, the party has made no serious effort to reposition itself on transgender issues. The defining cultural battle of this moment. That denial must end if Democrats are to return to the mainstream and to winning. I thought you were a third way guy, not a Democratic guy. I don't know. Jonathan, let me know. If you're watching, but you probably aren't. By the way, we have what, 634 subscribers, and we're like 430 or so short of actually having monetization. So you know what? Like, subscribe, leave us a comment, get the YouTube getting with us, okay? You can help us out, guys. All you guys in the chat, help us out. Can Democrats remain supportive of a small and vulnerable segment of the population? Oh, Carly's here. Wait a second. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, Carly. Carly. All right. Anywho, let me go back to reading this thing. Carly's here. Got her in the place. I hope. She's not sharing her camera and she's muted. But hey, maybe she'll be here soon. Back to the thing. Oops. Yeah. All right. The answer is yes. First, Democrats should express their frustration and discuss with the ways extremists on both sides have weaponized the issue. Doing so will immediately signal to swing voters that they're trying to resolve, not exploit, the culture wars. Democrats can make that clear. That on the right, hardcore conservatives have used this debate to primarily inflict harm, painting transgender people as monsters who seek to change our culture and history. On the far left, progressive activists police our language, attempting to shame those who step out of line and or do not agree between those two sides. The demonization by the right is much worse. Both extremes are wrong and are adding far more heat than light to this evolving. Did ChatGPT write this? The evolving and complex national conversation. Democrats must forcefully reject polarization and point scoring and instead champion a middle ground that allows for a more reasonable debate. Second, did that actually say anything? For Democrats to regain the support of centrist voters who deliver electoral victories, they must meet Americans where they are today. Kind of agree with that a little bit. Not where advocates might wish them to be or where society may be headed in the future. And I kind of do agree with that. But how do you get there? Huh? And do you really want to get there? Culture is always upstream of politics, and views may shift in the coming decades. But the current political reality is stark. The GOP was able to raise serious doubts among swing voters using this issue because Democrats allowed themselves to be seen as out of sync with the values and views of the American majority. Now, let's pause for a second. How have Democrats done that? Did Kamala Harris say anything? Sorry for hitting my mic. Anything during the campaign, one single solitary thing. Well, yes, she did. Twice. About transgender people. And what she had to say was about the most anodyne stuff you could possibly say. The Democrats didn't say anything about transgender people during the campaign. The Republicans invented everything about what the Democrats said about transgender people during the 2024 campaign. They invented it. The Democrats didn't say boo. The Democrats didn't respond because they were afraid of touching the issue, because they were afraid that they were going to do it wrong? Or I don't know. But whoever was advising them was probably not trans. As much as I admire um, the representative from Delaware. As much as I admire her, she wanted to stay away from it as well. And she's right. Most of us don't want to talk about this stuff. We just want to live our lives, do our jobs. Sarah McBride is a hero. She's done the work. She's there. She's doing the work. The problem is, at some point, you have to address the issue. You have to address the fact that people are ready to marginalize you, eager to marginalize you, willing to marginalize you, and in doing so, take away your validity, your humanity, your rights. So it seems to me that for Democrats to regain the support of centrist voters, they need to take a position. They need to defend. They need to do something better than say nothing. They need to say that transgender people are Americans too, and they're people too. They need to say at least that. That's the the very fucking least they could do. And here's this guy saying it's the Democrats' fault, and worse, as we get into the piece, that it's the trans people's fault. That's the radical trans people who just want to fucking live. It's our fault. Where exactly does the majority stand on transgender issues? Many Americans know someone who's trans or has a transgender loved one and wants them to be treated with kindness, even as the left and right offer simplistic slogans and moral certitude. The broader public understands the complexity as recent Pew research shows. The majority wants some limitations on sports participation based on an athlete's sex assigned at birth. And the same majority believes we must protect transgender people from discrimination in work, housing, and healthcare. Now, okay, let's be real. A majority wants some limitations on sports participation based on its athlete's sex assigned at birth. A majority does not understand what transition is and how it impacts an athlete's ability throughout all of this stuff. The majority of the public does not understand that transgender athletes have been participating in sport for a very long time, and that at no point in time has women's sport disappeared because guys in skirts are showing up and taking all the trophies. The majority of the public does not understand that nobody transitions in order to win a pickle dish. The majority of the public is not well informed because the majority of the public is not informed by anything other than right-wing propaganda designed to demonize us. And so while I agree the majority of the public does hold those opinions, you're not helping here. You're not allowing the people with the knowledge of how these things have played out to have a voice in the discussion. You're telling the Democrats shut the fuck up about that or agree with the Republicans. Swing voters believe that Republicans can be, and this swing voters believe that Republicans can be cruel, but they're also exasperated with many Democrats. Polling from Blueprint, who the fuck are they? What is this? What is this? Check this out for a second. All right, why immigration chose why America chose, and the Democrat. I don't even want to know. I go back to this other thing. Just holy smokes. Good vault. Polling from Blueprint identified this as a significant vulnerability for Democrats last year. The statement Kamala Harris is focused on more on cultural issues like transgender issues rather than helping the middle class, ranked third in their testing of the most compelling reasons not to vote for the vice president. Did Kamala Harris have anything to say about transgender people? The answer is no. She did not. I I don't know if and I don't know if any of these guys are familiar with the work of Joseph Goebbels, or should I say Joseph Goebbels. I don't know if they have any fucking idea that Kamala didn't say anything about transgender people during the campaign, but the propaganda from the other side was relentless. It trailed only inflation and immigration. That just shows how effective right-wing propaganda is. Democrats ignore or dismiss such flashing red warning signs at their electoral peril. Well, Democrats need to fucking stand up and do something, grow a spine. Third, Democrats must be clear about their convictions and positions. I agree. Absolutely. And those must align with that compassionate but concerned majority. I think that there's a way of being nuanced, maybe being informed, maybe talking from a position of strength rather than one of weakness. Like, hey, this is going to hurt us electorally, so we'd better just fucking ignore the entire problem. We'd better just ignore it. We'd better not talk to trans people, or we'd better talk to trans people like like Brianna Woe, who basically say, "Oh yeah, you know, we should in fact disappear." That really would be the best thing. As a baseline, most voters believe there are two biological sexes, male and female. Yes, they probably do. And that a person's gender matches the sex he or she was assigned at birth. At the same time, many also recognize that there are people who feel deep down that the sex they were assigned at birth is not who they are. Instead of arguing over X and Y chromosomes or getting into complicated scientific topics, Democrat politicians should keep it simple. Share your view that there are two sexes and that there are many ways people can identify by gender, a social construct, not a biological one. Seems like this guy is going, hey, don't be an egghead. Oh, look, this is great. It's like, of course, we're going to get something by Victor Davis Hanson, right wing renowned historian Victor Davis Hanson, who thinks that maybe the Nazis weren't so bad. The Hoover Institution, yeah, fuck you. When it comes to kids under 18, Republicans are stoking fears that minors could access medical care for gender transition without parental consent. That's why Democrats must be firm. Without explicit parental consent, no one should ever receive gender affirming care, whether that's medication or any other medical intervention beyond mental health support. So, what do you do in the case? That's how do you nuance that? How do you nuance that, Jonathan? Okay. You can't get explicit parental consent for this kid who is troubled by gender dysphoria, and the kid is scared to death that his parents will find out, or her parents will find out, or their parents will find out that they're dealing with this issue. Where's consent lie in that case? This has the benefit of being both a medical standard of care and a legal requirement in every state. Republicans are trying to criminalize gender affirming care even when parents support it. Yes, they are. And that's the point. I mean, wouldn't it be a better position for Democrats to take that it's none of your fucking business, that it is the business the of the child, their counselors, their parents, and their doctors? Wouldn't it be more appropriate to basically tell the government to stay out of my medical care? And then he goes on. As for sports, transgender girls and women should not be allowed to compete in women's sports at the level of high school or above in ways that compromise safety or fairness. Well, that is in fact the standard that the governing bodies of sport hew to, or at least have, until this hysteria has taken hold, funded by the 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 right wing, the Republicans. You're ceding the field to propaganda. When it wasn't a problem, it wasn't a problem, but now it's a problem because it's become a problem because somebody decided to make it a problem. When it comes to adults, Democrats should take a different approach and be committed libertarians. Well, yeah, transgender adults should be accepted and included. They should feel free to lead the lives they choose, have the same rights and opportunities, including to healthcare and employment, enjoyed by all Americans. That's not only morally right, it's politically sound. Defending fundamental liberties for adults is strongly backed by majorities in virtually all nonpartisan public opinion research. To win the middle, Democrats need not shy away from criticizing the harsh rhetoric and policies of the right and insisting on treating transgender people with dignity and respect, preventing transgender Americans from getting passports that reflect their gender identity, re- threatening to defund suicide hotlines, kicking them out of the military. All this is gratuitous and mean, and voters agree. In fact, polling shows solid support for non discrimination protections of transgender people, even as Trump has rolled out an anti trans agenda. And once they move to the center, Democratic policymakers will have a far better standing to vote against the Republican proposals to ban healthcare, impose gender checks on girls' sport at every age, and attempt to erase the very existence of transgender people. May have a point there, but but lastly, but lastly, Democrats must cancel the gender language police. If someone's heart is in the right place, that's what counts, not using what advocates may deem the politically correct words on a subject for which the language is in flux. Insisting on or even using new and controversial terms like pregnant people unnecessarily puts Democrats outside the mainstream. Similarly, no one should be pressured to introduce themselves with their pronouns, a practice many Americans find at best annoying and at worst deeply alienating. Again, you poor dears. Being misgendered or being addressed with the wrong pronouns, being etc. That's kind of annoying at best and deeply alienating at worst, especially when it's done repeatedly. Especially when in the instance of in the instance of one recent dust up on the inner tubes. I'm not going to call this person she because he isn't. Is that deeply alienating? Is that annoying? It's to hand wave away the actual practice of people who hew to this ideological bent, to hand wave it away and ignore the damage it does to the individuals involved is to be at best blind and at worst complicit. So guess what, Jonathan? Ask people's pronouns. How hard is it? You don't have to be a dick about it. I screen calls for the line. Among other things, we ask, what's your name? What are your pronouns? Where are you calling from? And those of you who've watched the shows have probably seen the hosts, the call screeners will write in none given. It's up to the caller at that point in time to make a big deal out of it, I suppose. We had one caller that gave his pronouns, as it turned out, his, because he actually does use pronouns. Everybody does. Nobody really wants to admit it, but you know what? I don't know why. I don't know how many times. The approach I'm taking these days is just basically saying, okay, it usually gets around when somebody calls in. It's like, I don't believe in pronouns. I said, oh, okay, that's fine. But we don't want to make you uncomfortable. So when you walk down the street, they say, hey, there's Clyde. He had a great day today. He was absolutely fantastic. Blah blah blah. Would that be okay with you, Clyde? And Clyde would say, "Oh yeah, that's fine." This is someone. This is a guy who says, "I'm a male" when they call the show. I mean, it's not us that are making a big deal out of it. What are your pronouns? It's not a hard question. It really is fucking easy. But that's been my approach lately, and it's actually been funny because they immediately just go, "Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's good." I don't know why they get so PO'd about it, but anyway. But it is. I think that the damage on the other side. That I think that what people like Jonathan here misunderstand is that there's damage on the other side that is far more annoying and far more alienating and damaging, honestly, than any small inconvenience that someone being asked, "How do you care to be addressed?" would be. Anyway, this middle ground will not satisfy the advocacy groups on the left. You see, it's the woke mob, the advocacy groups on the left, the trans agenda, the ideologues who simply want to be treated addressed the way what they would like to be addressed, simply want to be treated the way any other human being would be. The advocacy groups on the left. Indeed, it may well upset them. It doesn't upset me, man. It doesn't upset me in the least that you're that you just it it doesn't upset me, except that here's what upsets me about Jonathan's little piece here. What upsets me about Jonathan's little piece is that he clearly didn't talk to a trans person in writing it. And maybe he just, or at least he didn't, in the piece, he didn't express the nuance that's involved here. Because in the very next sentence, he said that indeed may upset them. It may well upset them. That's okay. It's their jobs to push. Yes, it is. But there's nothing in such a principled and pragmatic approach that throws anyone under the proverbial bus, except trans athletes, Jonathan. I mean, let's be real. People are getting hurt, except trans athletes, except any trans person who is going for a passport, except for any trans person. It won't throw anyone under the bus except for trans people. And that won't affect you. A centrist stance won't be a feature on Megyn Kelly's podcast, since nuance doesn't generate clicks, while outrage is a rating bonanza. And you know what? You're right there. You're right. But you, Jonathan, are outraged that we're asking you to have a little nuance and not just basically cave. We're asking you to understand that it wasn't the Democrats' positions on transgender people, it was their lack of one, and they're ceding the ground to the propaganda that made their position into something it wasn't. Anyway, that's my little thing. Or I haven't been paying attention to anything here, but I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. I'm gonna see if Carly's here. Let's see. All right, wait a minute. How do I do this? Good heavens. Carly, you're here. I hope.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm flying solo, and
Yeah, I know it's a different sort of night, but we've got a big transposition sports. As you know, things are getting wild in the sports world right now. Things are
No, no
getting wild
shit.
in the sports world right now. So when we get to Transposition Sports, we've got tonight the ins and outs of what's happening in California with that nonsense. We walk you through it. Personally, I believe the CIF made the most spectacular mistake that you could possibly make 3 days before, with the state meet scheduled to start tomorrow. We're going to walk you through it. Plus,
Yeah.
West Virginia last week. Remember Becky Pepper Jackson, who has been fighting a court case against he's been fighting in federal court against the state of West Virginia. She got to state this year in the shot put in the discus. We'll let you know how she did. And a special, because tomorrow is Carly Bowl 54. That's right, my 54th birthday.
There we
In
go.
celebration of that, I'm going to tell you a little story about my return back to football. That and more to come on Transposition Sports. I'll be back.
Awesome. Thanks, Carly. Well, now I'm going to try to do a little transition here, and we'll see how this works out. I'm bad at production, but I'm doing my best. So bear with me. Da, 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 da. Let's see. I gotta sort of. I'm gonna make myself live so I can look. I can make myself huge. Oh my God, the fog has rolled in. Look at that. Holy smoke screens. Let's see. Why don't we play this little interlude while I figure stuff out? We're going to good news, remember. In just a second or so. Oh, wait. See, I screwed it up, didn't I?
Actually, I forgot what I was going to ask. I need to think for a minute.
Yeah? Okay. Wait a minute. I screwed it up. We're live. See, this is why we need Bree. Wait a minute. I need to get rid of this. Get rid of that. Hang on a second. I'm going to share something else. Share another thing. Darn it.
Gun and pistol.
I understand. Let's proceed. Bear with me. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just so bad at this. But this is why, you want to see entertainment. Let's just have all sorts of entertainment, and
Good news, everyone!
There we
We're
go.
on the threshold of Pride Month, so this week we're going to take a pause to hear from the community. Here we go.
Hello. Today we will be taking a look at all of the different ways to refer to your estrogen that were left in my comments and giving them each a letter grade, beginning with antihistamines. In addition to rolling off the tongue very nicely, our system also rewards bonus points to portmanteaus. A. Yet while femininity retains the bonus for being a portmanteau, it loses points for not having a direct connection to T. B-. QT stickers in reference to estrogen patches is both direct and accurate, as these are stickers that will make me cuter. B+. We return here with another portmanteau to antibiotics, which unfortunately doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well as antihistamines. A-. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well as antihistamines. A-. And last but not least, titty skittles.
Okay, I understand it's lagging. Let me see what I can do about that. Let's see what I can do about that. Good heavens. Let's try this. Try this. This might work better. Bummer. Oh, goodness me. Oh, wait. Let me see. Ah, share audio, share a tab or screen instead. Hmm. Good heavens. I don't know how I can do this. Let's see. I think maybe I can do it this way. Sorry, everybody. Also share system audio. Yeah, there we go. Wow. I just learned something. Thank you for your patience. All right. Let me know if this works. And we won't screw up Carly's segment, okay? All right. I'm going to shut up now. Bye. I'm gonna see what I can try here. It's a bit of a pain in the neck. I apologize. I apologize. I apologize. I apologize. I'm going to try one other thing. And if it doesn't work, I guess that's it. I just can't do it. Yeah, it's. I apologize. The whole we just sort of at the a last minute thing. Just things didn't come together. So damn. I'm looking for the original source. If I can get it in a window, I'll be able to make it happen. And I'm not sure what I can do. Okay, this may work. Believe it or not, you never know. But let's try this one. And I appreciate your patience. And if it doesn't work, let me know. But I'm going to try this. Fingers crossed. Boom.
Everyone, we're on the threshold of Pride Month, so this week we're going to take a pause to hear from the community. Here we go.
Hello. Today we will be taking a look at all of the different ways to refer to your estrogen that were left in my comments and giving them each a letter grade, beginning with antihistamines. In addition to rolling off the tongue very nicely, our system also rewards bonus points to portmanteaus. A. Yet while femininity retains the bonus for being a portmanteau, it loses points for not having a direct connection to T. B-. QT stickers in reference to estrogen patches is both direct and accurate, as these are stickers that will make me cuter. B+. We return here with another portmanteau to antibiotics, which unfortunately doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well as antihistamines. A-. And last but not least, titty skittles. Please see me after class. That concludes our episode for today. Join us next week where we examine different options to call your testosterone. Goodbye.
My name is Autumnilla. This is my 19th day of voice training, and look at my shoulders. Maybe a closer look's in order. Oh, you can really see my tan line. Wait.
I'm letting you know right now, whatever you're doing, you're not doing it gay enough. You could always be gayer. You could always do more gay shit, and yet here you are, doing the gay bare minimum. It's time to lock in. Get those tattoos. Start embracing your body. Get those piercings. Go kiss some girls. Touch some grass. This 2025 is the year of doing things gaily and gayer.
Hey, what's a woman? The gender usually but not exclusively attributed to females. So then what's a female? The reproductive category usually but not exclusively attributed to someone with two X chromosomes. You keep saying not exclusively. Yes, some people have XXY or XO, or they have X and Y chromosomes but the Y doesn't activate, so they don't develop the male bits. Wait, so some women can have a Y chromosome? Yeah, genes are like a blueprint to build a house. Just because you have instructions to build a chimney doesn't mean the workers will always build one. So you can have a Y chromosome, but in all other aspects be female. That's confusing. Alright, what's a tomato? What? What's a tomato? It's a vegetable? Scientists say it's a fruit. Huh? But it's not sweet. Yes, but it has seeds, so scientists categorize it as a fruit. Yeah, but we use it more like a vegetable. That's the point. Nature doesn't categorize things as clearly as we'd like. We want things to be simple. Fruit or vegetable, black or white, man or woman, but nature's complicated, so just give people a break. Oh, I understand. So tomatoes have a Y chromosome. Oh my God, forget it.
Good afternoon. I'll try to keep my comments brief as I believe all of our time has been wasted enough already. My name is Shepherd Janeway. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am here today alive, still transgender after puberty, still alive and incandescently happy because of access to gender-affirming care. Lack of access to gender-affirming care directly contributed to my suicidality as a minor living in the state of Wisconsin. My testimony is dedicated to my friend Mindy. The 10-year anniversary of Mindy's death by suicide will be next week. As a minor living in Wisconsin, lack of access to gender-affirming health care and hostility from those empowered towards transgender youth directly contributed to Mindy's suicide. I will not be arguing much in favor of gender-affirming healthcare. The next few minutes of my comments will likely not sway you any more than, I don't know, explicit statements in support from the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, the American Public Health Association, the Endocrine Society, the Pediatric Endocrine Society, the Society for Adolescent Health and Medicine, the World Medical Association, and more, but I think at this point I'm really pushing the limits of our collective attention. I am frankly loath to even validate the evocative rhetoric that children are being bamboozled into mutilating their bodies with even a scrap of acknowledgement, but I will say this. The vast majority of sex and gender-related medical procedures which are performed on minors with insufficient education are performed on intersex infants and children to force them into physical alignment with the gender binary. We have the data on that, and this bill will not protect those children or their families from such treatment. Gender-affirming care is administered to transgender minors only under stringent observation by qualified professionals. The scientific consensus is that gender-affirming care drastically reduces suicide attempts in youth, especially when administered between the ages of 14 and 17. And once again, let's keep in mind that the standard of gender-affirming care for minors is puberty blockers, and that is it. I sincerely hope that you will not allow reactionary fear tactics to outweigh a 14% decrease in suicide attempts among a population that faces up to 40% suicide attempt rates, the highest of which occur among youth. What I am going to say is this, because I believe it is important to name the monster in the room. Gender-affirming care does not ruin the lives of children, it saves them, and the people who introduce and support this legislation know that. The movement to legislate against the inclusion of trans people and against life-saving healthcare for transgender children is the first step in the concerted, organized, and explicit effort to eradicate and exterminate transgender people, and it will certainly not be the last. They know that the introduction and passing of the bills like these will kill trans people, including children, and that is their goal.
Because you're not actually interested in protecting women in Texas. That's the guise of the bill, right? It's the Trojan horse that you use for all this anti-trans nonsense. I remember for years as Republicans, oh, gay marriage is going to end the world. And of course, then the public opinion shifted, the Overton window moved, and you had to pick a new scapegoat. That's what you always have to do. It's not that you can actually sit here and do the business of the people. Make lives better for Texans like me? No. There's no time for that. We got to bully 1% of the population. We gotta harm them as badly as we possibly can. We gotta make them afraid. We gotta make them stay in their homes so that you're not forced to actually acknowledge that they exist. If we were sitting here like 50 years ago, maybe 60 years ago, instead of talking about trans women going into bathrooms, you'd be talking about black women going into white bathrooms. Do y'all ever get tired of being on the wrong side of history?
As you know, my name is Lily, and I am a senior at CB East. I wanted to start off with thanking Dr. Delangelo for your service on the board. It means so much to me. I wanted to speak tonight to get my closure to you, the current board majority. I realize that no amount of words I say will make you understand or listen to the sheer damage that you have done to my family. Damage that continues tonight as you vote to pass policy 123.3. Unlike many of my peers, I spent my time in Central Bucks in fear. Fear for my life, fear for my family, and fear of you. You have stolen years from me, something that I can never get back. I mourn every day how I will never have experienced a secondary education where I was treated like a human by this board majority. Because it was never about protecting kids. It was about erasing people like me from Central Bucks. If it wasn't, then why have countless situations of my life being threatened or reduced to a subhuman level have been left unaddressed or not properly handled, even being considered a predator in bathrooms, in locker rooms, and today in sports? And even with such gross negligence, you continue to make policy after policy preventing people like me from just living our lives and seeing ourselves in the world around us. So I did what I could. I spoke out. I came to these school board meetings. I participated in the student focus groups with the superintendent, conversations with my principals, and still here you are, gazing at me with blank, lifeless stares, closed off to the voice of a teenage girl whose life can be crushed and altered in the palm of your hand, with a yay vote, the signing of yet another policy. To the students that are here for the history class, this is my message for you. Keep speaking up for yourself. Even when there are some people who will refuse to listen, there are people everywhere who you inspire and who will lift you up. You are not alone. Even if it is the most isolating feeling, your voice has power and it has the ability to incite change. To Dr. Lukabaugh, and I know you are listening. To Dr. Lukabaugh, you have proven to be a coward. I have been speaking to you since I was in 7th grade to effect positive change in the district, but it is evident now that you have not followed through on anything that we have discussed. In fact, you have been a willing participant in the nonsense and harm. How can anyone in administration see the hurt that me and many other students have brought to these meetings and just say, well, we need to move past it? Well, Dr. Lukabaugh, I can't move past it. It is my life. It is my day-to-day. It is my truth. With each day you have sat as the superintendent, my life has been stripped away from me. I hope that every day that you think about my face and how you have utterly failed me. And I hope that all of you on the current board majority takes all of this away too. But hey, at least you make an amazing college essay and first AP art piece. Thank you.
The pride flag is now the official city flag of Salt Lake City, Utah. This is not AI. But Utah just banned all pride flags. Last week, they became the first state in the country to ban pride flags from all schools and government buildings. So I thought this was fake, but it's very real, and the story is wild. What happened is Utah banned pride flags from flying on government property. So Salt Lake City, Utah took their city flag and they made the pride flag part of it, so now they can fly their city flag legally.
Also, right, if you can call your dog a human's name, right? What's your name, my lovely friend?
Frank.
Frank. That is a strong human name. Is it short for anything? What would it be short for? Frankenstein. Frank. That is a strong... Fist bump, my friend. Frank is a strong human name, right? You're a human, your name is Frank, and I like it. But if you can call your dog Frank, come into my house and pet my dog, Frank, and you expect me to come into your house and call your dog a human's name, you can fucking call me Mrs., all right? Let's have a little bit of perspective, shall we? And I bet Frank could piss wherever he likes as well, can't he? Oh, Barbara, he's done it on the carpet again. Leave him alone, Barry. He's still learning. I'm still learning. I did it standing up for 24 years. Where's my pat on the head? I just think it's sad. I think it's so very sad that these men feel like they need to mutilate their bodies to look more like women. Sorry, Frank's balls came off quick enough, love. Your dog is further along in his transgender journey than I am. I will stop calling myself a woman when you stop calling that dog your baby. It's a man in a dress. That is a dog in a onesie.
I am the son of God, but I also am God, and we are the same thing, but we are also different. And also there's a ghost, and that is also the same thing as God and the same thing as me, but different than God and different than me.
Okay, I'm following.
I was assigned male at birth, but actually I'm a woman.
Whoa, hold the fuck up.
On March 18th of 2022, I made the decision to go on estrogen. It was my 20th birthday. It was a month and some change after me and my girlfriend at the time broke up because I had made the decision that I was going to go on estrogen, and it was completely an incompatible decision with continuing our relationship. I lost friends, colleagues in my classes began to look at me differently. My professors treated me differently. I came into conflict with my family over my decision to go on estrogen, and it was a life-altering decision that really harshly affected me. And it is almost 3 years later, and it is the best decision I ever made in my entire life. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. It is the best decision I ever made. The decision to transition, it's made me happier. It's made me more artistic. It's made me feel better in my relationships, in my friendships. It's made me appreciate life more. It's made me appreciate my beauty more. It's made me better at makeup. It's made me Lila. It's made me this person that I thought I lost. There was this person deep down when I was little that I loved, and I lost her along the way because she was kind of like pushed down, right? She was kind of like suppressed by the people around me. And I finally feel like I'm starting to be that person, that outgoing, crazy person who loved to jump around and dance, and I feel like her. And if I had to go on estrogen to do it, if I had to break up with that girl, if I had to lose some friends, I would do it all over again.
So what's your take?
I think Republicans should have their own bathrooms because I don't feel safe around them.
100% agree. Let them stop fighting over the bathroom thing.
It shouldn't be an issue.
This is actually a great solution.
Yeah, gender neutral, but Republicans have one, and then we have our own. I don't mind sharing a bathroom with people of all genders. When the women's room line is too long at a bar, I'm always going in the men's. I truly don't care. And I just think, like, Republicans shouldn't be around children. You know, like, I don't have kids, but if I had a kid and I was in the bathroom and my child saw a Republican in there, they might be like, Mommy, why does she look like that?
Well, also, this would just solve the debate. It would just be over.
It would be
We
over.
would be done. We would never have to talk about bathrooms again.
I also think it would smell a lot worse in there because I know Republicans, their diets are just like ribs and the blood of immigrant children, so I feel like that's probably not easy to digest.
It will smell crazy in there, bro.
It's gonna smell really, really bad.
It will smell crazy. If we're going to do makeovers on both, like, could we do makeovers on liberal bathrooms
Oh,
as well?
absolutely. We can have enhancements. We can have free Wi-Fi.
Free Wi-Fi is good. I would like a lazy boy.
Absolutely.
After, you do the work.
Yeah. It can be,
I do the work.
Well, it's work in there. It's not for pleasure. It's for work.
We put in work and maybe like a little like a TV.
We can make it fun. Like, it doesn't have to be...
The bathroom should be fun.
It's something we could look forward to, but when you're sharing it with Republicans, I just don't think that's possible.
Well, they have bidets or no bidets?
I don't even know if they'd have toilet paper. I don't know what they do in there.
It's come to my attention that brands these days don't want to work with liberal content creators anymore because in Trump's America, if you go woke, you go broke. And as somebody who has bills to pay, I think it's time for me to stop being afraid of the backlash and finally make the conservative content that I've always wanted to. So I'm becoming a trad wife. Now, our first order of business in transforming ourselves into a quintessential traditional wife is doing our makeup in a way that's gonna please our husbands. Conservative men don't like it when women try and look pretty. That's what a Jezebel would do. Instead, they want us to look like we just wake up flawless every single day. So we're gonna trick him with a natural makeup look. This means doing proper skincare because our husbands don't want us to age, a light sheer foundation so it looks like we never leave the house, the tiniest bit of bronze eyeshadow that you can barely see, Glow Recipes Natural Flush to make it look like we're getting all giddy when he talks about stocks, and some gentle brown mascara so you can really see our eyes glaze over when he gaslights us about his secretary. For the dress, we want it to look like it's 1882, even though we're chronically online and we bought our house with Bitcoin. And for the hair, we're going messy and chic because we want to look working class but always have to be camera ready. And there's the look. Now I'm a trad wife. I'm gonna go tell the internet that raw milk is safe despite all the scientific evidence. Bye!
I get messages from other trans girls that are like, hey, I love what you're saying, but I just wish you would put in some effort and like put on some makeup so you don't make the rest of us look bad. And I think that's really fucked up. In a way, I get why it would piss you off, because when you're sitting there putting on a full face of makeup every day so you don't get clocked, so you do pass, and then here's this other tranny yapping at 500,000 people being like, I don't care that I didn't shave today. I'd be like, what gives? And what gives is my fucks. I don't have them anymore. My transition has been about setting myself free, not about finding another set of gender norms to adhere to. Passability is not going to save us. Devotion to white supremacist beauty standards is not going to save us. Remember the like acceptable gay movement from like the AIDS crisis almost through Obergefell about like, these gays are just normal people and let them into society. They're just like us. At the beginning, it was helpful in opening people's minds, but it ultimately sanitized queerness to the point where folks are still homophobic and they haven't interrogated it. If we can't look at clocky dolls, if we can't look at bricky girls, if we can't look at girls who haven't shaved and still love them as women, we will never set ourselves free. We won't. If you find yourself adhering to gender norms and subscribing to beauty standards, it's probably worth interrogating. Why? What are you getting out of this? Back to the original point, I'm not making you look bad. I'm just a different kind of girl than you are. And that actually speaks to how much our community has grown and evolved. And I think that's a good thing.
I've never felt unsafe around a trans woman, ever. My womanhood has never felt threatened by a trans woman, ever. And if your womanhood has, I think that speaks more to the fragility of your womanhood than anything about trans women. Because quite honestly, how pathetic to target one of the most oppressed groups in our society. Honestly, loser behavior. And for all those people who say they care about women's sports and women's safety, where are you petitioning for more funding for women's sports? Where are you petitioning for better legislation to persecute sexual assault against women? Overwhelming majority of which is committed by cis men. You don't care about women. You just want to target those that are already oppressed. Loser behavior.
Comments like that one just baffle me. I mean, it's not a mystery that I'm transgender. By the way, Felicia, you see what I did there? Bye, Felicia. By the way, Felicia, it's not a trans, not a noun, it's an adjective, as in she is transgender, or as you put it, he is. And if that he is supposed to upset me or somehow ruin my day, no. If someone looks at me and says he, I would question their eyesight, not my identity, though I might check my makeup. But when I get past the silliness, what I'm left with is wondering why. Why would someone feel so insecure in who they are that they would feel the need to say something like that? Because no matter what some dumbass politician or preacher says, the mere existence of transgender people is not a threat to anyone or anything. Transgender people are, wait for it, people. And like all other people, we are just trying to live our lives, raise our families, go about that one life we have in peace and happiness. And that somehow there are folks who find that so horrifying, frankly, astonishes me. I mean, what difference does it make to you? Seriously, Felicia, or anyone else, what difference does it make?
I love the instant camaraderie that I feel with other trans women. You know what I mean? Like when I could encounter another trans woman or a group of trans women and we could have nothing in common outside of being trans. We could be from completely different walks of life, different ages, different anything. And there is just this sense of security and safety and joy that happens. And it's like we really, like, we understand each other better than anyone else could. And I swear, it's like I feel all of history's queer joy, fear, resilience, anger, and liberation at once in this moment. And it's just like this it's subtle and it's not an explosion, but it's like it's there and you can feel it. And I honestly, like, I don't have a lot of trans friends, and I sometimes forget the power of that connection. You know what I mean?
Okay, but I actually love this. I will be using the term girly dad from now on. Thank you for that little gift. Also, while we're here, I just want to say a quick shout out to all the trans mothers out there. I see you, mama. This comment did make me think about language, though, and the way that we use it when it comes to how we describe family roles. Like, I have several friends who are adopted themselves or who have adopted kids, and I feel like when we understand adoption, that experience has so much to teach us about the way that we use language. Like if we ask the question, what is a mom? We might say, well, someone who gave birth. But if someone adopts a child, we don't hesitate to call her a mom too, even if she didn't carry the baby biologically. Why do we do that? Because we understand that if talking about motherhood was only a discussion about biology, that would be incredibly reductive. Being a mom isn't just about biology, it's about love, care, and presence. Being a mom is about the role that you play in someone's life. Language is meant to describe relationships. It's not about policing who counts and who doesn't. So when a kid calls her trans mother a mom, it's not a lie, it's just the truth of their relationship. Words like mom or dad aren't owned by biology. They belong to love, relationship, and care. Language matters. And that's why, yeah, I'm a girly dad.
Let me make it very clear. There's a lot of you out there that are sitting there thinking, it's too late for me to transition. My time has passed. I should have done it earlier. I should have done it when I was a teen. There's also a lot of you out there that are like, I started too late. I feel so behind. I wish I did it earlier. You are not too late. You are not too late to the party. You did not start too late. You are not missing out because your path doesn't look like someone else's. Most of us had to just fight to exist. We spend so much time just fighting to exist in our own bodies. While other people were out there going on first dates and trying out prom dresses, we were navigating survival. We were navigating safety. We were navigating dysphoria. So no, your timeline isn't broken. You weren't too late, and it's never too late to transition. Everybody's path is unique. You know, there's so many people that are out there that are like, if you didn't transition really young and you didn't know from a young age, then it's not valid. What? Guys, I barely knew what color I liked when I was 4, let alone my gender. I barely knew how to navigate middle school, let alone knowing that I was a girl. For most of us, we're just figuring it out, and that's fine. And it's like, don't sweat it. So if you feel like you're too late to transition, or you feel like it's too late for you to transition, for you to live your truth, for you to feel comfortable in your own skin, it's time for you to stop. It's time for you to stop the self-hatred. It's time for you to be honest with yourself and realize that your path is unique. Your path is special. Your journey and your transition is your own, and it's beautiful, all in the same. If you guys have any words of encouragement for other trans girls, or if you've had similar experiences with feeling like, oh, it's too late, leave it in the comments below. Help out your girls.
Have you ever noticed in old-timey newspapers how they used to cover transgender people? There was no culture war going on, and so they were actually surprisingly really cool about it. Watch this. Instead of debating our existence, we would get headlines like, XGI becomes blonde beauty. They even gender her correctly. Like, look at this. Jorgensen's sex has changed, and today she is a stunning woman. It's amazing. Or here's another one. Vanished sisters return as boys. And then they have this really cool anecdote where they interview him and he's like puffing a pipe and being really cool and saying, I've always meant to be a man. Even some of the terms for trans people were interesting, like this one, sex changeling. I like that. Let's reclaim it. I don't know, just sometimes it's interesting to look back to this time before we were this huge political football.
If you're having a bad day, I don't have advice for you. I do have this for you. I hope that helps.
If you enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe. TransPositions Weekly is the first and only weekly trans news show in the universe, and we need your help to keep this show going. Contribute at patreon.com/TheTransPositions. Spread the word over social media to let people know we're here, and tell us what stories matter to you by joining the community on Discord. Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by yours truly. And if you want to find out if a change in your playground status is right for you, join us. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the TransPositions, I've been Ember Belrad. Happy Pride.
Anti-trans sports hysteria will reach a fever pitch from West Virginia to California to the White House. And a special birthday tale from the pages of Athlete is a Gender. Hello again, everybody. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb, and this is TransPositions Sports, the official network of Carly Bowl 54. That's right, it's my birthday on Friday. 54 years young and still having fun. At the top of the news this week, for the last 4 years, Becky Pepper Jackson, a transgender girl in West Virginia, has been in court fighting for a chance to play sports as much as she's towed a starting line in cross country or been in a throws ring in track. This past weekend, the now 14-year-old high school freshman, got it from Bridgeport High School, West Virginia, got the opportunity to compete in her state high school championship. And overall, she did pretty well. Finished third in the discus with a throw of 121 feet, 11 inches, good enough for third place on the day. Now with the third place finish, Pepper Jackson became the first transgender student athlete to score points and finish on the medal podium at these championships. Her effort was 19 feet behind the winning throw by Sierra Groom, who won her second straight state championship in Class AAA. She also qualified in the shot put and finished 8th. But of course, some people didn't like it, including West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey. Now, since last year's elections, Morrisey has followed the GOP's national playbook against transgender people, of course, and made Pepper Jackson a particular target. During last year's primary, while Jackson was still in middle school, the governor-to-be said this.
You have people, this came up in Bridgeport recently, that someone is doing a shot put. I praised the little girls who walked off and didn't compete because they have to face a male. You don't want little girls to be facing hulking males in the locker rooms.
On Monday, Morrison had more to say, saying, quote, "A boy competing in girls' high school sports at the high school state track meet in West Virginia is wrong and unfair. I'm again urging officials to keep separate scores so that the true winners can be awarded once we win in court." Just a note to Governor Morrissey, you're a grown man picking on a kid. Think about that. Now, let's take a look at California. You think that's bad? This is worse. Now, last week, we told you about A.B. Hernandez, junior at Jurupa Valley High School, qualified in the long jump and the triple jump for the state meet in California. She's among the top 10 in the nation in the triple jump, number 2 in the state in the long jump, and certain people, mainly a disgruntled gym teacher at Hernandez's old high school and a member of the state assembly in Sonia Shaw, who basically seeks to gain higher office next year as superintendent of public education. And how is she doing it? You know how, after all. She's a Republican.
Transphobia, Flora Stronger, America.
Docs harass a kid. You bully docs harass. I'm here to protect the girls that are having to compete against a boy. Did I say anything about a child?
Oh,
Nope.
you dox that child
Nope.
all the time. I see
Nope.
it all the
You just
time.
did it at the press conference. His mom doxes him. His mom is blasting him around, posting him all over.
You are the first person who doxed that child, Sonia, a child.
Anything
and you are
that's
sending
been
adults,
shared about him is public knowledge.
Sanctioned bullying of a child. And it's disgusting and it's cruel.
If I did what you're saying, I would have been arrested because Bonta would have put me in handcuffs. Where's the handcuffs? You have the supermajority in Sacramento. You have AB 59 right now that Scott Wiener's pushing. Let's talk about what Scott Wiener's pushing right now to shut me up from telling the truth.
I would love to know how
let's do it.
How you sleep at night knowing you are bullying a child, Sonia. How do you sleep? A child.
I sleep
You
very
know
good
this
by
is
protecting
dangerous.
girls.
You know
I
this is
sleep.
dangerous.
Then
You are friends
don't
with
support
Libs of
boys
TikTok.
and girls
You are
locker rooms
friends
and
with
sports.
Libs of TikTok,
Then
and
don't
you know
support
that when
boys
you
and
dox
girls
these
locker
people-
rooms.
And of course, there is the Trump administration. Here's how they planned this. They threatened to withhold, quote, large-scale federal funding from California, a state which receives a third of its total educational funding from the federal government. Here's what President Trump had to say on Truth Social, quote, "As a male, he was a less than average competitor. As a female, this transition person is practically unbeatable. I am ordering local authorities, if necessary, to not allow this transition person to compete in the state finals. This is a totally ridiculous situation. What's ridiculous is President Trump actually sticking his nose into this and can't name the kid even though we know who he's talking about, nor the fact that he kind of conveniently forgets that this kid was in 3 events and Hernandez didn't qualify for state in one of them, the high jump. Now, to her credit, Hernandez has largely stayed above the fray. After all, she's a high school kid who really isn't fazed. And again, here's what she's had to say about all the noise and nonsense the Capitol in Maine just 2 weeks ago.
I'm still a child, you're an adult, and for you to act like a child shows how you are as a person. And nothing I can do about people's actions, just focus on my own.
Now, the California Interscholastic Federation has decided, you know what, let's just give a participation trophy because certain cisgender people are upset.
That's a boy! That's a boy! That's a man!
The CIF, which runs most high school sports in the state, announced Tuesday that additional competitors will be placed in certain events due to the presence of a transgender girl athlete who qualified for the state championships this weekend. They said, quote, under this pilot entry process, any biological female student athlete who will have earned the next qualifying mark for one of their sections, automatic qualifying entries in the CIF state meet and did not achieve the CIF state at-large mark in the finals at their section meet will be extended an opportunity to participate in the 2025 CIF State Track and Field Championships. The CIF believes this pilot entry process achieves the participation opportunities we seek to afford our student athletes. Now, being a transgender person in this society right now, and being a transgender woman who plays sports, I understand the way this thing works. You see, you have people crying about fairness, but no fairness will be shown to A.B. Hernandez. And it's not a surprise, really. The CIF is just backing up what California Governor Gavin Newsom has already said about her. Let's take a look.
Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness.
So
it's deeply unfair.
Would you speak out against this young man, A.B. Hernandez, who right now is going to win the state championship in the long jump? I can see you wrestling with it.
No, I'm not wrestling. I'm not wrestling with the fairness issue. I totally agree with you.
Now, one reason I hate this is that it goes back to the same nonsense transphobes always say. Transgender women are not women and cisgender women stink at sports. And that's what you're really saying with all of this. A.B. Hernandez has been othered, not only because of the initial plank, but the next plank, according to the Newsom administration.
The CIF announced a new pilot entry process for the upcoming track and field championships, allowing a, quote, biological female student athlete to compete who may have otherwise been displaced from getting into the championships by a trans athlete. We also know there will be a change to the medal system that will allow trans athletes to essentially be scored on their own. So in long jump, for example, there could be a first place winner for the boys, the girls, and a third for a transgender student.
And you know what's funny? A lot of the people who cry about fairness and safety when they're really trying to uphold their transphobia, you know, people like
Parents against women's sports, because we don't really care about women's sports. We're here for the transphobia.
These are the same people who cry about participation trophies, yet I'm pretty sure they have no problem with the massive participation trophy that the CIF has handed out here. Let me talk as an athlete for a minute, because this only got worse. You see, when I was a little kid, in fact, when I was that little 10-year-old kid, I wrote about an athlete as a gender. And oh, by the way, if you haven't gotten this book, go get it. It's really that good. Some great stories, including the story about yours truly. See, when I was that little 10-year-old kid playing on my first football team, my dad always told me that you're the littlest person out there, so you have to be the most aggressive. And that means no one's going to take it easy on you because you're little. You've got to figure out a way to beat someone who's bigger, perhaps stronger, and perhaps faster. That's what sports is all about, he would always say. And I carry those lessons even to now. On Saturday night, I'm going to walk on a football field again with the Connecticut ambush at age 54. Believe me, no one's going to give me an extra down or an extra minute to catch my breath if I have to chase down some collegiate track champion who's 30 years my junior. That's part of sports. You got to figure it out. And that's the thing that I hate the most as an athlete about what the California Interscholastic Federation is doing here. Number one, you don't cheat the game. You don't cheat the game out of its prizes. You don't cheat the game out of sportsmanship. You don't cheat the game out of the honor of competition. And number two, you don't cheat the athletes, especially the kids. What the CIF has just done here to placate uncomfortable transphobic cisgender people has done both. First, you're cheating the game. You cheat the game out of its prize, because now the prize, no matter who wins it, has an asterisk. And if A.B. Hernandez wins it, there's no guarantee she's going to get it. Because if the CIF will back off on this, what's the next thing they'll concede? They'll probably find a way to make her an exhibition participant rather than the competitor that she's been for 3 years without incident. And that's not right for A.B. I'd like some fairness for her. But on the other side, this rips off all the cisgender girls who competed with her. Because basically, you're saying that those girls can't compete. Athletic patriarchy in 2025. Really? Really? You've taken away that kid's chance at being called a state champion. You're taking away that kid's chance of perhaps pulling off an upset against somebody who's been top ranked most of the year and boasted for events. You've taken away the drama of athletic competition, and you've cheapened it with this farce to placate people like a Sonia Saw or a Riley Gaines who don't care about kids and don't care about sports. You've cheated the game and you've cheated the athletes, and it just isn't right. No matter who wins at Clovis this weekend, everyone loses except perhaps a woman who's trying to run for state superintendent of public schools who spent a lot of her free time harassing this young girl and her mother. Nareda Hernandez, the mother of AB, had to send a cease and desist order to Shaw, and this is what Shaw did with that order. Take a look.
The problem that I have is I just said it was unfair and that a boy is stealing these opportunities from girls, because that's the truth. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I also have First Amendment rights, and I will never shut up in regards to that. So this cease and desist, that's what I feel about that cease and desist.
Voters of California, is this the person you want running public education? I don't think so. But this is probably the only winner of the competition this week. Perhaps. I hope she loses at the ballot box. But in any case, to A.B. Hernandez, good luck. And jump well, because I'm rooting for you to win, no matter what. And to all those adults who are going to mess with her, verily I say unto you, get a life. When we return to Transposition Sports, a special birthday story about yours truly from the pages of Athlete is a Gender. What happened that special season when I came back to football? You'll find out. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb. This is Transposition Sports. Stay with us.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
I love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This year, I finally get to play tackle football. I get to wear a helmet and all the pads and everything. 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from the coach. We were drafted like we were pros. My team is the Cardinals. Someday I want to be in the NFL. My dad says, you're maybe the littlest person out here, so you have to be the most aggressive, and the bigger kids will run you over. I can't let that happen. Dad says, if you let them push you around, they'll think you're a girl. My name is Chipper Webb. I'm 10 years old, and I'm not scared of nothing. I'm nervous like a little kid. Am I really doing this? It's 6:30 a.m. in January. It's dark and cold. I'm old. I'm trans. I haven't played full contact football since high school. I met this group at a festival last summer. One of their players said, "You look like you can play a little bit." I thought she was kidding. 2 months later, I'm at Reapers women's football practice thinking, will they accept me? My name is Carly Webb. I'm 51 years old,
I'm excited, and I'm scared. What can you tell me about a little kid named Chipper Webb, and why was it important that that little kid is in this book?
I can take that one. I think that Chipper Webb didn't know about how fantastic her life could be and how big the world could be, and that finding yourself doesn't mean giving up other parts of yourself, that you don't have to lose one community to gain another. Getting somebody who had seen the turning point, who had lived the turning point, and got to come back to sports. Like, I think that that's like something that I always think about with your story, was like that return to sports is so powerful. That is so powerful. I can't even really wrap my mind around how that must have felt, but I think that your story does a really good job of trying to explain that, of like, that this was like the final piece of finding yourself again without losing who you had become.
Reverse direction here. That's Webb with the touchdown. Carly Webb on the misdirection handoff touchdown.
Welcome back to Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb, and that touchdown you just saw was my first offensive touchdown in 38 years. That happened in 2023, playing for this team, Reapers Women's Football. Shout out to the red and the black. And that's also a part of a special story I wrote for this anthology. Athlete is a Gender. It's in your bookstores and on your online combines right now. In-depth stories, LGBTQ athletes, including yours truly. Go buy it. You'll be glad you did. Now, my particular story in that book looks at me playing on my first tackle football team at the age of 10, and then getting to fall in love with the game all over again 40 years later. You're about to see a story of trans joy. My trans joy. It began on a sunny day with a few high clouds at a sports complex south of Richmond, Virginia. The date was Saturday, April 15th, 2023. Two women's tackle football teams, the local black-blue clad River City Sting and the visiting gray-red-black Connecticut-based Reapers Women's Football, were warming up. It was the season opener for the visiting team. For most of the players, it was the beginning of yet another season. For one of them, a writer who follows the George Plimpton example as a participatory journalist, it was a special game. You see, it was a special game for me. Now, I haven't played any regulation football since I was bench fodder on a high school team 35 years ago. You see, I grew up in Nebraska, back when Big Red was truly Big Red. Football is life out there. But here I was, nervous, standing next to a band of sisters, ready to tee it up and hit somebody all over again. And you know something? I asked myself, well, how did I get here? Let's go back to a different sunny day, June 2022. I was at a Pride Festival in West Hartford, Connecticut. A swirl of happy and noise, bumping music, bright colors, and people wearing anything and everything. And I was in a football jersey, done in trans pride, salmon, azure, and cream, with a matching skirt and socks in the trans flag pattern, and I was carrying a football. I ran into an old friend of mine, Courtney Paulette, who played on one of the many women's tackle football teams that have come and gone locally over the years. Now, she told me about a team that had a tent at this festival and prodded me to check them out and maybe consider playing. Now, I balked at first because of a critical question that every trans person asks when it comes to sports. Will the league or organizers let me play? How will I be perceived by other players? For us and them, will I be accepted? And I also thought in practical terms, I doubt any team is looking for a 51-year-old at any position, but maybe the team needs a videographer. The team was Reapers Women's Football, a squad based in Western Connecticut. I walked up to their tent and met a group of proud, intimidating, serious athletes who looked like they would gear up at a moment's notice and play some ball. It was stark contrast to me, looking like an anime interpretation of American football. We ended up talking, and one of their players, in fact their starting quarterback, Sam Valentino, noticed I was carrying a ball. And she asked me, "Do you know what you're doing with that thing?" Other players noticed too. We started playing catch with my ball, and they all looked at themselves and thought, she looks like she might be able to play. Now, the team's administrator, Sonia Flusky, asked, "Have you ever thought about playing some football?" And I answered, "Could I?" Her response planted the seed. She said, "We're a women's football team for all women." I ended up buying a team t-shirt, taking one of their flyers for their first tryout practices to start in August. I left that Pride Festival thinking I'd forget all about it. Wrong. I decided the night before that I would go to that first tryout practice. It was at a grade school in Danbury, Connecticut. My plan was to just blend in, hustle, learn how they do things, and then suddenly, slowly show my skills. That plan lasted about 10 seconds. Flusky recognized me from Pride, and so did a few of the other players. The practice began with me feeling that new kid on the first day of school nervousness. It ended, the Reapers starting quarterback, same Sam Valentino, the league's all-star game MVP, throwing me a corner route. I made a diving catch to haul it in. I heard cheers from the entire team as I ran back to the huddle. One of the team members, Anna Villafane, the heart of the team, grabbed me by the lapels and told me, "You better come play for us next year." There were more practices through the fall, and I went to a lot of them, and with each practice, my hunger to play grew. But I also had to pay for it. See, in the women's game, it's pay to play, and that includes the league fees and buying your own equipment, and trust me, the protective trappings of football aren't cheap. The calendar leapt into 2023, and cold weather put us into an indoor practice field. Every Saturday, driving through the darkness to make a 6:30 a.m. practice session. Now, about the team, their most aggressive players were also aggressive about teaching and leading. There was Bear Smith and Puda Edwards. They're among the best interior players on the line in the league, and they were upgrading my technique at the line of scrimmage. If they weren't getting me used to being physical again, vets Sandy Ortiz and Ashley Reed, our youngest Reaper, were. Now, Flusky, who's our center when she's not running the day-to-day operations of the team, and Elizabeth Els Landfair, who was pretty much a lifer in this game, double-teamed me more than once. Now, special shout-out to Elsa's spouse, the unofficial team mom, Gretchen, who loaned me a modern spec helmet and shoulder pads for the season. Now, I gotta mention Nicole Cruz, because she gave me my first welcome to the Reapers moment when she planted me like a carrot in full pads during a scrimmage, along with our starting quarterback spouse. Now, Tina Valentino is our fullback. She wears John Riggins' jersey number, and she runs like him. Don't tackle her high. I learned that one the hard way. And I was also running hard to keep up with our fastest players, led by Anaya Booker. She's our speed receiver, speed halfback, speed quarterback, speed everything. Sprinting to chase her during those morning wind sprints at practice was a shock to the system. And not to be outdone, her defensive counterpart, Jessica Sky Schuyler. She's an incredible safety who plays alongside a twin, diminutive, dynamic duo at cornerback, Miche and Monet Dula. As we got closer to our first game, I noticed I was picking up the fundamentals and the playbook and getting a lot of support. I wasn't just a running back, linebacker, defensive end. The vibe from my teammates, our head coach, offensive coordinator, Gary Magis, and our intense defensive coordinator, Lawrence Pierce, said a clear, unspoken message. Carly, you're one of us now. They opened up to me, and it made it easy for me to do the same. Now, that's special for anyone coming into a new team. But for a transgender person, especially a transgender woman pursuing sports in this climate we're living in right now, Getting this level of support from an entire squad of cisgender women, that's priceless. Now by March, we're practicing outside. And with 2 weeks left to the opening kickoff, I received my jersey. There was a home one and there was a road one with Reapers on the front, Webb on the back, and 46 as my chosen number. I took number 46 as a homage to a favorite player from my youth, former Philadelphia Eagles cornerback and longtime NFL head coach Herman Edwards. The number is also a tribute to the age when I came out to myself and moved forward in my gender transition. I tried on my jerseys that day to a lot of happy tears, and I would feel a lot of emotions all the way to a car trip south and a Saturday night kickoff. Oh, about the game, we took control early. Tina Valentino's gashing runs, Booker had 3 touchdowns. It takes us to a nice lead. Now, my big moment happened on our second offensive play. A dive play to the right. My first career carry in a real game since leg warmers were in style. But the real moment was in the huddle before the play. We've got strong 36 lead on 1. Sam Valentino looks at me and says, "Are you ready, baby girl?" I nodded, and you could see the smile on my face from outer space. I was having fun. I was blocking and tackling. I felt like I was 10 years old again, flying around in full pads. Now, 20 seconds left in the first half. We're sitting on a 20-0 lead, but the River City Sting are driving. They're desperate to put some points on the board before halftime. Here's what happened next.
James looking, dumped, and it's intercepted. That is Webb, and Webb is going to take that to the house. Touchdown, Reapers.
60 yards later, I'm in the end zone with a big smile on my face. It was my first touchdown since I was in 9th grade. Oh, by the way, Ronald Reagan was president back then. We ended up winning by a score of 42-6. Amid a lot of smiles and soreness all around, I was tired, sore, cramping, but bawling out of pure joy. To get to play a sport I love and to bring all of me onto the field of play, I brought the happy tears gushing. And it extended through the moment when Coach Gary had me lead the breakdown cheer. My voice was high-pitched. I had a lot of little kid energy mixed in with a lot of gratitude for my chosen football family. There's a lot to be said for being included, especially on the playing field. Thank you, I exclaimed through my tears with all hands in the huddle. Thank you for letting me be a part of this team. I love this team. Great win today. Reapers on me, Reapers on 3. 1, 2, 3, Reapers. In 2024, the Reapers merged with 2 other teams to form the Connecticut Ambush. That's the team I play for today. And I love being a part of the Black and Orange. But my heart will always be, in many ways, red and black. Because that moment in 2023 brought me back to being that little 10-year-old kid again, playing on my first team. And even to this day, whenever I take the field, I can see the image of me at 10 years old, smiling in approval. For Transposition Sports, I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb.
I'm muted. I'm not anymore. And I'm also blurry. Look at this. Holy smokes. What's going on here? Wait a second. Let me fix the blur part because that's annoying. Just gotta get. Get over here somehow or another.
No,
Carly, that was great.
That story
Yeah.
brings back some real good memories.
Yeah,
It never
I've
gets old.
got stories. I've got stories.
It
I've got
never,
stories
it
to tell.
never.
Let me
United
just
States football
fix
never
myself
gets
here.
old.
Yeah, I'll tell you a brief story, sort of. I transitioned, oh golly, almost 28 years ago now. It's coming up on. And I'll tell you what, when I did, a member of my sailing team was kind enough to drive me to the airport for, well, this was a few years into transition. I was going for GRS, and Tip said to me, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure I can't not do this." I've had friends, but through my transition, I was pretty sure I'd never competitively sail again. And I sat out the racing season 2002, 2003, mostly because I was in recovery from surgery and stuff, and it was, difficult. And it didn't take long. It was about a year. People started asking me, "Are you going to come sailing again?" And I said, "Yeah, I will. Just ask. I'll be there." And so there was this little glitch in my sailing career, and I was pleasantly surprised by the welcome I received. And again, even in this climate, even in this political climate, I was asked to be the principal race officer for HL Fleet 27. It's J24 Fleet 43, HL Fleet 27, one of the largest fleets in the country. And I'm running their races every Tuesday night. And I'm racing J24s. Yeah, John, yeah. Recovery is not that long. Not that long of a thing. But I'm just amazed that I can. I think in Ember's piece, one of the folks said it was the best thing that they ever did for themselves. And a friend of mine told me ages ago it was the easiest hard thing she'd ever done, and I repeat that frequently. I wouldn't be here today. I would not be here if I hadn't transitioned. I just being able to be who you are is a gift that I don't even know how to explain it. I have no idea how to explain it. I mean, I think it's something that is a given for most people who've never struggled with this. But I am so glad to be here and to be with you and to be with all you folks in the chat and share stories. And I just appreciate you. I just do. Oh. I know I look like a wreck. I am a wreck at the moment. So then I'm wearing this Etchel's jacket, first place finishes. I've got to have my. It's been incredible. So
hasn't it though? Hasn't it?
Yeah. So I'm proud.
I've said often that transition was one of the best single investments I made in my own life, and I have no regrets, none at all. I regret nothing.
I regret the path that society has taken. I regret the struggles we have to continue to fight. I find it a pain in the butt. Basically, it's like, okay, but this is only one of the struggles that we all need to focus on as humans. I am dismayed by the number of people that think that respecting one another is too big of an ask. As I covered in the first piece this evening, it's like, well, we all need to shut up about human rights when it comes to trans people or Black people or immigrants or all of this. There are certain principles that we shouldn't abandon for political convenience.
No, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't abandon them because people don't see it the way you see it or I see it. We shouldn't abandon our lives. And that's what they're asking us to do. If you weren't so aggressive, if you weren't so outspoken, if you weren't so uppity, maybe we could all get along better. Well, it's like, who's making demands here? I'm demanding simple respect, and you're demanding that I give that up. Don't see that that's really, really, really a fair trade. And that's where I have problems with, who was that? Jonathan Cowan. I have problems with that. I mean, listen, man. I get the political utility of it, but you can't see the ground. You can't see the argument. You can't just let it go just because it's more convenient and just because you want your side to win. You still have to have the argument. And if you don't make the argument, that's not winning either.
Then again, Jonathan Cowan to me is someone who's a non-factor. He's a centrist.
Exactly.
And we don't live in centrist times.
We don't.
We don't live in centrist times. We live in a time where sides have to be taken. it's a time for choosing. For one thing, I'm looking at an RK Fox's message in the chat, and to me, it brings a different focus to what we're talking about. It reads, "It's obvious that the relationships you developed on this team are amazing. Just the way you talk about your teammates gives such a sense of commitment to one another. 8 of the people mentioned in that video are still my teammates now, because when the ambush was formed, they were a part of it. In fact, one of the first people I mentioned in that piece you saw, Tiana Bear Smith. I wouldn't be playing for the ambush if it wasn't for her, because when it looks like the Reapers weren't going to have a team because we just didn't have enough players, a few of our people, Sam Valentino, found out that the ambush was formed and headed over, and so did Bear and a few other players from the team. And Bear went to the owner because the owner had asked, "Do you know anybody else who can play? Because hey, we could use a few more players." And Bear told the owner of the team, Colleen Viserka, about me. And this shows the difference between an accomplice, an ally, and an ally. This shows the difference between somebody who really stands in allyship and stands even beyond that. Bear made a point to vet Colleen to see, would this be a safe place for me? Bear didn't have to do that, but Bear had the presence of mind to do that. And Bear told, look, she's trans, will she be safer? And Colleen's like, absolutely. And that's the interesting what happens when you find one ally run into another, run into another, run into another. And from there, I got a call from Bear the day of it was a month before the start of the season. I thought I wasn't going to be playing any football. I get a call from Bear asking, do you want to play football this year? I say, hell yeah, I want to play. Be at practice tonight and bring your pads.
There you go.
And there we go. And that's why I'm wearing this right now. But and I'm still on that team. In fact, we have a game tomorrow night. We have a game against the New England Rebellion tomorrow night. It's at Middlesex Regional High School in Massachusetts, 6 p.m. kickoff. Just saying. And the thing is, when I look at that, when I look at the way the way I talk about the teammates the way I do, because the teammates didn't just say, oh, you can play. The teammates gave a damn. They gave a damn about bringing me in, which is a stark contrast to say what the experience Leah Thomas had. We had people on their team dropping dive to Outkick and Breitbart and spreading things, and a couple of her former teammates at Penn are now working for Riley Gaines. That ugliness, the nastiness that you saw with the volleyball in San Jose, and what you're seeing right now in California, what the CIF is doing offends me in two places. One, it offends me as a trans person because you're othering not only othering a trans person, you're othering a kid. A.B. Hernandez is a 16-year-old girl. And she's being othered in this fashion. And I find that offensive, but I find it offensive. I find it offensive as an athlete because, one, you're cheating A.B. Hernandez out of what she's earned the opportunity to be, a champion. She's right. Competed without rancor, and now all of a sudden, because she's good, and because that woman, that song, I'll tell you right now, Nareda Hernandez, AB's mother, has been stalked, and her child have been stalked and doxxed by the head of, I think it's the Chula Vista School Board, who's also a member of the state assembly. This is a person who wants to run for state education superintendent in California next year in the elections. That's an elected office. This woman has gone to every track meet this girl has run in and harassed her. And at one point, these two, and you saw the video, AB's mother and Sonja Shaw came to blows. I'll say this: if Nareda Hernandez slapped the taste out that woman's mouth, she would be justified. She would be justified, and that's what's going to happen. And that's what scares me about the nastiness that you're seeing. That's what scares me about it. President Trump and his actions, and the actions of a lot of other people like the Charlie Kirks of the world, is I'm scared this could happen. I'm scared that somebody's going to come down from the stands and try and snatch that kid up when she's trying to attempt the long jump. Or also this weekend, Washington State's championships are going. Veronica Garcia won the 400 meters in her classification last year. So somebody might try and come down to the stands, bolt on the track, and try and like tackle her or accost her in some way when she's running the race. CeCe Telfer told us about what happened to her senior year at NCAA indoors, where they had to stop the race and escort someone out who was threatening her from the stands. See,
Correct.
we have to
see this is the other
it
thing.
is.
You know, this is on a more general scale. When you're talking about trans athletes, that's one thing, but trans athletes happen to be the most visible thing because that's what people are focused on. But misgendering and all of this other stuff, it's putting people in danger.
And
It's not funny, you know. It's as like I said, it's the focus on you know, the abstracting of adding the ism to transgender erases the people who are.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to erase trans people, and whether it's done harshly, the way this current regime in Washington wants to do it, or subtly, the way the CIF is doing it. Because basically, what they're saying is, if AB Hernandez wins, the cis girl who finished behind her will also get a gold medal. And basically, what you've done is erase.
Yeah.
You've cheapened the event. You've erased. You've othered one kid.
And I appreciate. I sure appreciate what you had to say. You know, I recall. I was on a panel in Fort Wayne, Indiana, on the subject, and it's like someone in the audience asked a question about sport, and I said, "Well, first you have to understand, sports aren't fair. The games should be fair, but the entire focus of competitive sport is who wins and who loses. So how is it fair? I mean, the game has to be fair, but there's an implicit understanding that some people are better than others at this particular whatever it is, be it chess or darts or sailing or football or baseball or anything. Some people are better than others, and the whole idea is to win. You don't go out to lose. Nobody goes into a sporting competition to lose the competition. You go into the competition to do your best, and hopefully that's good enough to win.
And the thing about is, I see it like this: at the high school level, a lot of people are getting frustrated. A lot of people are getting upset about this because somebody's worried about getting the scholarship, when the fact is your place isn't going to get your scholarship, your ability to do well. And And here's the real sad thing: people are so worried about scholarships. Look, AP Hernandez can't get an athletic scholarship because the NCAA will not let her compete.
Correct.
They won't let her compete. So that's
And, yeah. And it at most in sailing most 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 of the teams are club sports. They're not varsity sports. So it's like, okay, you're good at sailing, and Stanford might like you, or Yale might like you, or Harvard, or blah blah, that all of that.
Yeah.
But it's just another little tag on your resume. Hey, I can do this. This is my jam. I enjoy it. And of course, that's the whole idea about, hey, we want a diverse community, and a bunch of people that have more to life than whatever their specialty might be. But and the way the government's going after this regime is going after colleges. They're going after diversity in every respect.
Because
it almost they just why we want, what they're trying to do, it seems to me, is pick winners.
Pretty much.
Right? They're trying to pick winners, and all the while saying it's in the name of fairness, and it's bullshit. It's utter bullshit,
Yes,
because
it
you're
is.
not letting the ideas compete. You're not letting the people compete. You're not letting the people that don't fit your mold be who they are. It's bad.
It is.
It's bad. It's a bad road, and I hate to say it, but we've seen it before.
Yes, we have seen it before, and we're seeing it again. And I mean, one thing I've noticed is I'm really surprised there hasn't been more discussion over what this decision that was made in California. I've looked at the sporting press today, and quite frankly, I'm surprised. I'm surprised at the idea that outside the state of California, this story doesn't have a lot of legs. And to me, this is a very damning thing that's happening. This should be talked about on Sports Center tonight, but it won't be. It should be. And again, with the exception of my colleagues at Outsports and Nancy Armour at USA Today, who has done Herculean work, no one's really talking about what this means and what this means. This is separate and unequal. You truly, as if Brown versus Board of Education does not apply to transgender Americans. This is Dred Scott 2.0, and it won't stop here.
There are lots of analogies throughout these policies.
And I didn't see a Democratic state with a Democratic. I didn't see a Democratic state with a Democratic governor being okay with this.
Anyway, we should thank everybody for who's been watching and will watch. Thanks everybody for doing that. Thanks everybody for liking, subscribing. Maybe watching a little bit more. 400 more hours. We'll be able to give you like funky emojis or something that our fearless leader Bree will probably come up with, because I'm no good at, obviously I'm no good at producing, but I'm glad we got it sorted out. I'm glad y'all were able to watch Ember's segment and Carly's segment. The two of them put an awful lot of effort in during the week to put these things together for you. And we love having you here. And of course, I ramble on, and who knows. Anyway, I'm dog tired. I don't know about you, Carly, but maybe we can say goodnight to the folks and let's go home. Bye. I'm hitting the button. All right. I'm going to hit the button like I always do. All right. 5, 4,
Bye, everyone.
3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday, Carly.
Bye. Happy birthday, Carly. Yes.